Thursday night. It's the 1st of August 2024, and we're going to get into it. Just give me a few minutes. I'm just tidying up here. I need to mark these points out carefully here. This whole thing is a blob of insanity. Okay. So here is my beautiful handcrafted ephemeris, and we've highlighted some very important issues. We're just days away from the official Mercury retrograde right here. Okay? That's going to take us all through the whole month, and then we'll come out of it just towards the end. And right in the middle, we're going to have a massive storm. Let's just call it a storm. And at the very end, we're going to polish it all off with another major storm. So the whole of August is going to be extremely bumpy, a very bumpy astrological ride. And we're going to see it in the global headlines. Anyway, I don't want to scare you. I'm just trying to keep people informed. Hello and welcome. This is the TarotLumination with your global financial report. It's bad. There you go. Thank you very much. Good night. Sorry, I'm just kidding. This is an astrology channel, as most of you know. But also, as most of you know who've been visiting here for years, I'm particularly attracted to observing global events on a global scale that impact all of us at the very depths of our being, mostly to do with just raw survival. And like it or not, this thing called money is more or less the equivalent of the essentials like air. Number one, for life you need clean, fresh air within minutes, otherwise you're dead. Next, you need clean, fresh water, for a few days, or else you're dead. Then good, fresh, good quality food for a few weeks or more. After that, you're dead. After that, it gets more complicated. You need shelter, community, being able to share your natural gifts and talents and resources with others who share theirs with you, and forming harmonious alignments to assure mutual survival. And in many ways, that's how a lot of old communities used to work. I think especially in Native American times. I believe I had some very significant Native American past lives, but also indigenous small tribes, small groups, way before the times of globalization, industrialization, mass transportation, the age of discovery with ships and shipping, the age of globalized colonialism with the British Empire, for example, and now today the American Empire. And I string a lot of it with historical links to the astrology. To me, the biggest and deepest and most profound is the Pluto cycle, which the full cycle is 250 years, give or take. And it coincides beautifully with the birth, procreation, and death of empires. Pluto, think of that. Birth, procreation, and death. Fundamental aspects of Pluto. And it's also very simplistic. Pluto is very simplistic. Everything distills down into a yes or a no. A black, white, in, out, dead or alive, happy, sad, broke, rich. It's a planet, it relates to extremes, hyper extremes. And at the moment we're seeing that in the global community, where at the very, very top of the pinnacles of power and money and control, in other words, Bank of International Settlements, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, the Federal Reserve Bank of America, and all the central banks across the world, all the policy makers that go along with it, like the government and the World Economic Forum, United Nations, World Health Organization, all that crowd, all those people with suits and ties in offices running around thinking that they're better than us. I don't like that. Because they're just people, and they have found their way into power, and once they get a taste of it, they can't let go. It's just like lust. It's like a severe drug addiction. The more you have, the more you want. It's insatiable, and that's what happens when you abandon wholesome energy in exchange for something that's very hollow. You can't take all that power, money, and control with you. What really counts in terms of accountability here in this lifetime is be loving and be loved. What's your track record? You know, doesn't matter whether you're dirt poor in Bangladesh and you're swimming around in, the reeds, or whether you're a dirt poor farmer in China, whether you're a middle class, upper middle class, something or other in Europe. It's great to have all that money and fun stuff and everything, but what's your life really like? And what's happened is these elites have essentially hijacked the high ground, and they enjoy the spoils, and they have this extremely powerful, very successful mechanism that was implemented in 1913, and it has been refined and expanded since then to where it is now, where it is this essentially it's just a massive cancerous tumor that has its tentacles across the world. Metastatic cancer, stage 4, end of life type of situation. That's where it is. And they're not going to let go. It's literally just like an extremely aggressive cancer that is determined to take down whatever is available in order to survive. In human people, what I've learned is that cancer thrives on sugar and certain acidic or alkali conditions. And things don't have to be the way they are, but they are the way they are, and it's better just to accept and understand that everything is exactly as it should be, and how is that so, and why is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. People have chosen these certain ways of being, and it's like a club. It's like an extremely elite club, and I posted something on my X the other day. This young girl was reading out what looked to me like a profound essay or a statement about her perception of life in the world and everything. I don't know if she wrote it or someone else, but it was absolutely beautiful. It was a beautiful reality check. I would urge all of you to see it. Go to my X, scroll through the postings until you reach this picture of a girl talking. Click it. It'll save you days, weeks, months of studying and learning, and it will help you to understand who we are, how we are, why we are the way we are today. So that elite tribe is at the point of maximum desperation. In other words, Pluto is at the cusp right now. It's actually around 0 degrees. Let me just double check. Here we are. First of all, we're more or less at the 0 degree point of Aquarius. It's going to be like that all month, and then it's going to retrograde even further when it goes back into Capricorn. That's September. So I'm giving you a heads up right now, okay? Starting in September, Pluto's going to be in Capricorn at the critical degrees, basically, for the rest of the year. Yeah. Yeah, and it stays there all October and November. Wait, no, September, October, and most of November, and then it will be going direct again in October back into Aquarius. So basically, for the rest of this year, it's going to be absolute chaos, crisis, and mayhem in terms of the storyline about the great unfolding, the great undoing of the elites at the very top of the pinnacle of power for the whole world. It's going to affect everybody on earth, every country, every central bank, every currency, whether it's for a small country or the United States or China or Russia or Europe or England or Japan. The currency markets, this is like an astrological chart, but the currency markets are going to be extremely dangerous, very, very volatile, because the World War III, the most important component of World War III, is being conducted on the foreign exchange markets across the world. In other words, computer screens with charts all about currencies and currency trading. In other words, the US dollar versus the Chinese yuan, the US dollar versus the Swiss franc, the British pound versus the Japanese yen, and so on and so on and so on. They're all fighting against each other because there is no fixed reference point except for the United States dollar. That's the nearest thing the world has as a reference point. And the reality is that the United States dollar is not a fixed reference point. It is a continuously moving point from which there is no legitimate reference, because in the currency markets, I'm going to try and keep it super simple because I'm not a finance guy. I'm just into the concepts, all right? So if this is the value of the US dollar over here, and it affects, the people inside America, and it affects the people outside America. And let's say the Federal Reserve Bank decides they want to raise interest rates or lower interest rates or print more money or tighten up the money. That will affect the market value of the dollar relative to everybody else. So if the dollar does this, it goes up. It makes it easier for America to buy stuff from over here. It also makes it like a safe haven. More people want the dollar because it's more valuable, but it also makes things difficult. There's another side to the equation. Like, there's a disparity between here and here, and what markets like is parity, because then everybody knows where they stand. And so, like Donald Trump is offering, he's basically saying, we're going to have to weaken the dollar. We're going to have to make sure that the global market, the dollar goes down, 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 down. That makes it easier and easier and easier for us to export our stuff, because we got a lot of problems in terms of export, import, and manufacturing. So we're trying to even things up again. And so when the Federal Reserve banking system, in collusion, whether it's Kamala or Joe or Donald, whoever it is, if they all decide we have to weaken the dollar, that screws it up for everybody else outside America, because then it's much harder for them to sell their stuff to us. And so they start to devalue their currency to get back to parity again in order to compete. And sometimes a country like China will deliberately crush its yuan and create deprivation inside China in order to get an export advantage against the United States. And then the United States goes, you know what, screw you, watch this. And then China goes, hold on, you can't do that. And the Fed says, oh yes we can. That's how it works. And then China has to go, oh no. So and that's the same with every currency. So it's a perpetual race to the bottom. And the way that happens is print more, inflate more, create more debt, create more debt, create more debt. But every time we create more debt, it creates more and more crisis here at home, inside America. In other words, the American inhabitant has to work more jobs for less and less valuable dollar to buy sticker price stuff that has bigger and bigger sticker prices. What does that mean? Poverty. It's a continuous downward path towards more and more poverty. That's inflation. The opposite side of the story is that inflation works beautifully for the elites. It's their mechanism for extracting wealth, value out of you, the people, we, the people. It's the same mechanism across the whole world. All the central banks do it because they don't have any other option, because the whole world had to adopt the central banking fiat fake money system with zero reserves in order to survive against America. That game relies on perpetual infinity of increasing debt, and it's been spectacular in the last couple of years, especially since Joe took office, where in order to give the illusion that everyone's going to be okay and I'm the government and I'm going to save you, they print astronomical amounts of money, hand it all out, and what does that do? It just floods the market with more currency, which makes spread that all around. In other words, you have to have more and more and more and more of those currency notes to get the same thing. What does that mean? It means eventually the sticker price goes up on those things. In other words, your house, your car, your credit card, your life expenses, your gasoline, your food. Nothing changed in terms of the food and the gasoline or the house or the car. It's just that the sticker prices go up, 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 up. The more and more the Fed inflates. But see the other side of that. The people who are into real estate investing, people who are into the stock market, people who are beneficiaries of the printing of money, in other words, Wall Street, in other words, the Dow Jones Index, the Standard & Poor, and the NASDAQ, they directly correlate to the printing of money, the money supply. It's a direct correlation on the long-term charts. The more and 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 more they print more and more and more, print more and more and more equals more and more and more inflation, which means stock prices go up, 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 up. So that puts on paper all the elites become richer and richer and richer, while we become poorer and poorer and poorer. It's a formula, it's a mechanism, it's a machine. It's a machine for harvesting energy from you and putting it into their pockets. It's a private enterprise. The Federal Reserve Bank is a private enterprise, and the main shareholders are public retail banks. It's the same mechanism across the world. That whole mechanism is in extreme jeopardy right now. They know it, and a lot of people don't know it. The people who know it are the elites themselves, and they know it's falling apart because the fiat systems always collapse in the end. Every time an empire in previous history has inflated its currency by creating more currency, whether it was Rome or the Ottoman Empire or the Greek or the Egyptians, Germany, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Argentina, it ends in a disaster. Always, always, always. The only reason we can get away with it in America is because there's nothing else to stop us and we're at the very top of the pile. But everyone else is starting to question that because they're thinking like, we don't want to play this game anymore. We want parity. We want equity. We don't want to have to be in a perpetual state of warfare in the financial markets. So there is a very, very deep, profound, let's say, how to describe it. It's almost like at the depth below the surface of the earth. It's so deep inside people that they want to change, that this has to stop, that something is happening, something is going to happen. And a lot of people who are outside America, not the dollar, are looking for a change. Some of them are going to this BRICS alliance. Some of them are going to this Shanghai Corporation organization. There's the Bank of International Settlements trying to create this whole Enbridge CBDC system to imprison everybody even further while we the people are still trying to escape. It goes on and on and on. And the war is raging 24 hours a day. We just don't see it because it's just done in computers on Wall Street and all the other central banks. We feel it because gasoline goes up, food goes up, housing prices go up, car prices go up, incomes, wages, and employment go down, down, down. Translation, poverty. There you go. So anyway, hold on a second. So anyway, that's the backdrop to where I want to go over to the stage to illustrate things a little more. All right, so here we are today. This is just another astrodoodle following on from a previous astrodoodle. This crisis point, and this crisis point are not going away anytime soon. They are mutually supportive. There's a lot of opportunity here in terms of benevolence, even though these are crisis points. However, considering that they are crisis points, and this point represents the implosion of the global elites and their systems. In other words, just look at China, look at America, look at Western Europe, and so on. Over here, the Neptune 29-degree crisis point represents the veil of illusion that the elites use to propagate their scam. And over here, I would say with Uranus, it's like the extreme unpredictability of how this is going to work out and what it's going to look like in terms of the global financial system, because it's revolutionary. This is the energy of global financial revolution and upheaval. So there's a lot of bad, scary things at the same time that there's some amazing things happening. My feeling is that eventually goodness will prevail and some sort of new type of global financial system will emerge. But I think it's going to take many years, possibly aligned with Pluto in Aquarius for 20 years and Uranus in Gemini for the first 7 years or so, 7 or 8 years, something like that. So please expect and plan for enormous chaos and tumult in the global financial system, which will affect you in your pocket. Okay? Just wanted to get all that out there. Today, right now, we have the moon in Cancer, and some of the huge, obvious bits of sacred geometry are starting to break up, but we still have some very critical aspects here. This one and this one, both very, very stressful. Over here, okay, let's just start with the top. Let me go to my rant, okay? How about that? Let's go to my rant first, and then I can go back to the astrology. Okay, yeah. Okay. I got some of this in detail put onto my X account, okay? TarotLumination at X, if you want to go deeper into it. My first note here is a massive red alert warning sign. Warning, 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 warning. The markets are screaming out that there is a very, very big problem. and nobody knows what to do about it. Now, I'm not a financial expert, but I can see a chart, and I can recognize a very scary chart when I see it. And yesterday, early in the morning, and then throughout the day and into today, what are called the bond markets, treasuries, took a massive, it's like a massive crash. And that coincided with notes from Jerome Powell himself. And all of this was on the calendar. Everybody knew that Jerome was going to come and speak and tell the whole world what the United States federal banking system is going to do. And if you listen to the speech, it was just it was financial gibberish, which was designed to create a smokescreen of nothingness. And the actual traders, the people behind the computers who are trying to make money and save themselves from destruction by the Fed, they have to make trades accordingly. Buy this, sell this. Buy that, sell that. They mostly like to focus on the 2-year bond and the 10-year bond because they are like very powerful indicators of the health of the economy and the way the global economy may go. And what happened is, like in a matter of minutes, you could see the charts blinking, 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 blinking. And just after Jerome finished his speech, blam! I mean, it's the numbers involved are quite tiny, but when you're talking about tens of trillions of dollars on the global markets, and one click of a button will mean billions of dollars of buy or sell, it's a big deal. When you take like a small part of a percentage point and you multiply that by billions of dollars, it has an impact. And the thing is that the chart just, wonder if I can show you. Let me see if I can show you an example. Stay there a minute. I might have been able to save something. Did I actually save it? But bear with me. I do this now and again where I like to show my little tablet. Oh, I missed it. Damn. I'll find it again. I'm going to go to... Okay, here we go. Bear with me. Oh boy, sorry. I should have prepped all this up. Okay, let's go back. Give me a second here. I am struggling. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to the 10-year Treasury mark. And let's see where it shows. Okay, the graphs, the charts are coming up. And let me see if I can get this lined up so you can actually see it. Okay, let's have a look here. Alright, so... Okie dokie, it's struggling. Alright, this is not red or green, it's just plain blue, but you can see what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can go for the 5-day. No, I'm going to go for the 1 day, because this all just happened overnight, basically. Okay. Okay, so the finance, oh, excuse me, I don't know what just happened there. So the finance guys, the money market people guys who watch this stuff, when this happened, it happened extremely quickly. This is just minute by minute by minute by minute. Jerome Powell was speaking here, and then he stopped speaking, and then kerboom. And that sent a very, very scary shockwave through the global markets. Of course, most of us have no clue this stuff is happening. I didn't know until I saw it. But when I saw it, I went, holy bleep, all my finance money guys are going to start screaming soon. So, it doesn't mean you're going to be broke tomorrow or rich tomorrow. All I can tell you is that it's the equivalent of like an earthquake in the global markets. just a sudden shock, like, and it settles again to a new level, okay? Where it goes from here, I'm not quite sure, but the pundits I like to follow are really like, they're just rude. They just call it out how it is. They're basically saying, you're looking at I don't know what I guess it is a crisis, because what's going to happen, the actual message behind the story from Jerome Powell is basically like a big pile of nothing. They're just going to keep printing more and more and more and more money, and they're telling you that they may lower the interest rates sometime in September. And that's like Fed speak gobbledygook to let everybody know that they are preparing for the election on November 5th to make it look like Grandpa Joe and little Kamala are financial geniuses, and they have somehow or other made the U.S. economy spectacular, because they're going to say, oh, look at the stock market. It just went up and then up and then up and up and up. America is amazing. We're growing like never before. It's the best it's ever been. Okay, smoke and mirrors, lies. Neptune, right? Get it? Pluto, get it? It's just power, manipulation. It's a massive, massive scam, and they're taking it as far as they can, as big as they can, while they can, before it all implodes. And so there's, I don't know who it is. I guess it's Gregory Mannarino. I like him. Where everybody gets freakish, like Peter Schiff and Michael Maloney and Lynette Zhang and a lot of other market people in the gold world, they're all basically looking like, well, when's it all actually going to come down and crash? When's it going to actually crash? Because we're dealing with the biggest financial bubble in world history ever. And it started in 2008, 2009, and then it went, and then 2020, it went astronomical. It went parabolic, like some sort of miracle. But this miracle is all a manufactured scam to enrich the elites at your expense. That scam covered everything from big pharma, markets, trading, green this, CO2 that, anything to juice the markets in their favor. But you know, you can only take it so far. And so what's been happening behind the scenes, I've been reading reports where a certain handful at the very, 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 very top are starting to do big sell-offs. They're going to start cash in because, in other words, market prices are going up and up and up and up and up. And they want to sell while things are high before everything just goes poopy down. Amazon took a huge dump. Was it Netflix, Microsoft? They're taking huge dumps. But it's going to get a lot worse. So the more and more that the big wigs, the big shots on Wall Street start to sell off, to start to cash out while it's super, super high and inflated, the more and more that's going to trigger an avalanche. I don't know if you saw those videos in China recently where these huge 1,000-year occurring storms happened. One of them showed a mountainside in the rain. There it was. Somebody was just filming their neighborhood, watching the rainstorm. And this happened to be very near the Three Gorges Dam. It's the biggest dam in the world. And it's very, very, very fragile at the moment. It could blow at any moment. Anyway, these people were filming in China, their local beautiful pretty mountain. And then they started to notice, wait a minute, that mountain is moving. That's weird. You're getting closer and closer, And they start to realize, oh my God, the whole thing's going down. And then the whole thing went down. That's what we're dealing with. And what's happening is the people who are at the top of the mountain, who've collected all that so-called wealth, are trying to cash in before it all goes down the toilet. So when the implosion begins, it accelerates and then it gets very big. So like what with that mountain collapsing in China that I showed you, it starts off, you just see the land kind of creeping and moving, and then it goes, and that happens very, very quickly. That mountain was there for probably centuries or thousands of years, and then in a matter of 3 minutes, it's all gone. So that's what's happening in the markets in America right now. So if you're deeply vested in the markets, the Dow Jones, the S&P, or the NASDAQ, or your 401k, IRAs, and all of that stuff, you might want to, have a look at your portfolio. Okay, so a couple of things about the assassination. I want to put this out here. The early days of the investigation still going on. There's a lot of crazy conspiracies. The next one is that there's going to be another assassination attempt because the elites and the global cabal have no other option. They have to take out Trump. I don't want that to happen. They don't have to do it, but they are almost compelled to because that's really their only option anymore. Unless there's, of course, a massively, outrageously rigged election on November 5th. And that can happen in so many different ways. There could be massive disruptions, chaos. There could be a spontaneous pandemic, which requires martial law and the cancellation of elections. And Kamala will be just anointed. That's it. In other words, just like what they do in Cuba or Venezuela or Zimbabwe or Russia or, where all the basically tyrannical places. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm expecting a lot of shenanigans. So, given the storyline is still very new, from July 13th, the day of the new footage, new material is starting to seep out from lots of different whistleblowers and members of the public who were at the event and taking pictures. And there's one footage, you've probably seen it already. Fox got hold of it, and it's gone all over the world now. And it shows a local person in the bleachers with his phone. He's filming Donald because he loves Donald, and he's looking around at the crowd. Oh, isn't this amazing? Look at Donald. He's wonderful. He's going to save the world. And then in the background, you see this top of the building. And you start seeing that, there's somebody walking around up there. And then the person ducks out of view. And then you look closer, and then he's popped up again over there. That's weird. Guy on the roof, looking very dangerous. And that, at the very moment where the guy stuck up his head over the ridge of the roof, that was 6:08 p.m. Okay? Now take out your clock, your watch, and just count 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, Donald had just started talking, pointing at charts, saying hi to the people, rousing the crowd, everybody loves him. And at the same time, just regarding this particular footage, 6:08 p.m., the little guy pops his head above the roof, and then he ducks down again. A few moments after that, the guy making the film stops shooting because he wants to watch the event. 3 minutes later, 6:11, 9, 10, 11, 3 minutes later, bang, 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 bang. 8 shots. Then, bang, bang, 2 shots. Starts making you wonder, like, what actually is going on here? How come just regular folks in the crowd could see this killer, the shooter on the roof? That's Thomas Crooks. How could they see him, and they're down in the ground, and the government, police, SS snipers are on the other rooftop, and they apparently can't see him? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The whole freaking thing is some kind of weird scam cover-up at a planned deep state assassination that went wrong. Very, very badly wrong. And now the deep state is in deep doo-doo. So anyway, that's just come out today, and that's sending a lot of ripples and shockwaves through Congress, and they're eventually going to start asking questions. Okay, Mr. Secret Service, how do you explain this footage? How do you explain that guy sitting right there, everybody can see him, 6:08 p.m., and then tick-tock, tick-tock. 3 minutes later, he pulls off 8 shots, apparently, and then the snipers shoot him dead. Explain that. And there's only a few things that you can surmise, is that the government snipers were just completely blind, and they were kind of going, hey man, hey, I don't see anybody, do you? Hey, what did you have for lunch today? Oh man, I wish this gig was over. I'm so bored. I don't see anybody out there trying to kill Donald Trump, do you? Bang, 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 bang. Oh, what was that? Oh, look, somebody tried to kill Donald Trump. Oh, we better shoot him. Pew, pew. Okay. Do you buy that? I don't really buy that. And so the next thing is that it's kind of an obvious question that it has to come up in Congress at some point. It's probably going to come out of the mouth of Jim Jordan or Josh Hawley or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Kennedy. And they're going to basically say, dear Mr. Secret Service boss, can you explain this anomaly? Can you explain why your snipers, who were standing up, guns pointing in the direction of Thomas Crooks, why they did not kill him 3 minutes earlier? Huh? Why? Why not? And then, of course, there's going to be like, it's because of the sunlight was confusing them in their sunglasses. There was a lot of, you couldn't see things, and whatever it is. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene has already asked this question because she already connected the dots weeks ago. She basically has said and demanded from the original Secret Service boss, did you issue a stand-down order to the snipers which would allow Crooks to pull off 8 shots before the snipers get permission to take out Crooks? Did you issue a stand-down order? Or didn't you? Okay, so it's an obvious question to ask, and I want to know. I want to know. Were those shooters issued a stand-down notice? Because they're just standing there. They're just standing there like this. Thomas Crooks is right there on the other end of this. Anyway, so the next thing that leads to is the next obvious question. Who are the 2 snipers? What are their names? What is their testimony? We need to bring them into Congress, and they need to testify under oath what actually happened. What happened in their little earphones? What happened in their microphones? What did they see? Did they have body cam footage? What about the snipers themselves? They have not appeared anywhere. There's just a massive spooky, huh? Very, very spooky stuff. So all of that's here on my notes. I want testimony from the snipers themselves, under oath. Okay, now I'm going to go to the charts again because we have to issue some warnings. Okay, here we are. This is August. This is August. We're right here, and in a couple of days, you're probably already feeling it. We've got Mercury retrograde. It's in Virgo, and then it's going to go back into Leo, okay? And then it's going to go direct. I should mark that point there because that's the moment of crisis as well. And that crisis there. So all of this time period here is Mercury retrograde crisis points because it's going to be heavily amplified by this major crisis point, and this double duty, triple duty crisis point here. So the whole of August, please put on your seatbelt. Keep your eyes open. Maintain acute situational awareness. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep a watchful eye on your surroundings, your friends, your family, your loved ones, and pay very close attention. Okay? This particular crisis point, we're running into it right now. Venus is switching into Virgo. Mercury's already retrograde. Sorry, it's turning retrograde on. Let's see, Monday. Well, basically Sunday night when we come on live. So it's gonna that'll be interesting. So my feelings is that this Mercury retrograde is going to reach a particular crescendo right in the middle of the retrograde period. And there's a reason for that. It's because not only is this Mercury retrograde at a crisis point here, switching into Leo from Virgo. In other words, let's put it here. All right. Here's Mercury. In a few days, I'm going to have Mercury retrograde. It's going to be a big fat R right here. So that's going to be retrograde along with Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto. Oops, forgot that one. So we're going to have retrogrades. And anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So right now, this little Mercury right here is a crisis in the making. This red band here is already a crisis, but it's going to increase the crisis point over here on Mars. Sorry, I got it all screwed up. Virgo, Gemini. So over here. So it's just going to be an extremely jittery time, because like the deeper you go into the world of the deep state, in other words, government, the federal banking reserve, the bosses of the corporations, the global elites, in other words, the people at the very, 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 very top, please be prepared for extremely chaotic, very dangerous behavior and maneuvers as they try to hold on to power, retain power. At this level of desperation, we're probably looking at war, hot war. Just saying. Mars is going to be very, very activated through all of this. Mars is nothing good or bad about it. It's just that it's an expression. Very powerful expression would be war to the death. Fight to the death in order to survive. The other part would be adventure, being a good hunter-gatherer, being a good achiever, a good competitor, and so on. But anyway, this crisis point is here. We've got, okay, so we got one, we're rolling into it right now. The crisis is going to amplify at the middle of the month. It's going to carry a wave towards the end of the month. and then we're going to go back to Mercury direct, and then we're going to walk straight into another crisis point. This middle crisis point is very awkward because it's aligned with, okay, I have to try, all right, there's two. There's this crisis point here, but there's a separate double crisis point here. And that crisis point is because, where is it in the middle? 17 degrees. Okay, it's because Mars and Jupiter, Mars and Jupiter are going to be conjoined at 17 degrees right here. Right here, okay, you see that? And that's going to be a very, very hard square to Saturn in Pisces, 17 degrees over here. An extremely acute square. And what I feel it's going to do is relate to global communications and miscommunications. In other words, what the mainstream media is telling you or trying to tell you, what the Federal Reserve Bank is telling you or trying to tell you, in other words, storylines, narratives, messages, messaging to try and convince you, the people, to believe them, the elites, whatever they're trying to do, like rig the election or promote Kamala or promote Donald. Anything and everything that can go wrong, in other words, anything to do with lies, deception, and betrayal, where you're using the Neptune energy for very negative, hostile, destructive, evil purposes, that will be called out by the very fierce and heavily amplified Mars in Gemini right here. It's already getting very, very unstable in the global media world. You know, all the suppression, the censorship. It's already being called out with Google, Meta, and the other mega corporations, the main ABC, CBS, MSNBC, CNNBC, and so on and so on. They are being called out, and it's becoming so embarrassing you can't not see it, about the lies, the deception, the betrayal. So we're going to see it happening. We're going to witness it. Now, if you live in a life of truth and simplicity and honesty and straightforwardness, it's not going to be a problem for you personally. But you might observe it, especially with people who have astronomical power and money and control, and they feel terrified, at risk of losing all that astronomical money, power, and control. And so they're going to abuse language. They're going to abuse the global arena of media to try and use it for their advantage. And they have a lot of support to do that. So please do not be surprised if you see some completely outrageous fake BS coming out of the mainstream media, especially to support the evil people. So there's that crisis. The other crisis point is right at the other end of the month. That's this one here. Because we'll talk about this as we go through the month, of course. The other crisis point is right here, around the 30th. And at that crisis point, Mars will be conjoined Uranus. Okay? Oh, sorry, excuse me. Wait a minute. What am I saying? Hold up. I gotta get Mars plus Jupiter 17. There's Mars at 17, Jupiter 17. Okay, we got that. Okay, so then, yeah, so we're flipping where, over here, where, okay, I'm trying to show you. It's very hard to show you because of the print. Mars is going to be here in Gemini at 26 degrees. And Uranus is going to be in Taurus here at 27 degrees, 26 and 27. So Gemini and Taurus, it's like an inconjunct or whatever it's called. I can't remember the astrological thing, but it's a very nasty little setup. Mars is going to be over there. Uranus is going to be over there, 26 and 26. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think it's going to be relating to money. Anyway, we'll see. Uranus at 27 degrees is going to be a major issue. Oh, that's the other one. Neptune at 27. Yeah, okay. So that's... And basically, this trigger point here, it's a little yellow blob right now, but eventually this is going to be a huge yellow blob right here, amplified. And that's going to be very much correlated with the global financial system. Okay? Oh, hello, people. Yeah, put your things in place ahead of time. Make your decisions on the understanding that this is like a little weather report, okay? I'm giving you a heads up. Hello, Victor. I'm pretty much going to wrap it up in a minute, but you can see it after the video is processed. Might take a few hours. Yeah, dropping hard. I think you saw that. If you look at the beginning of my show, Victor, I showed people, I actually showed, oh, where is it? Where is it? Let's see if I can bring it up again. 1, 7, 7, 6. We just had an alert. It just came out. Okay, so you probably saw this, Victor. This is the 10-year bond. Very, very scary. Last night, this was last night when Jerome Powell was talking, the head of the United States Federal Reserve banking system. And then after he finished talking, bang, aftermarket hours, kaboom, crash, as the aftermarket traders made their bets. And then Amazon took a huge dump. Microsoft took a dump. Other places took huge dumps because the markets are shifting. They're unstable. They're extremely unstable. We're going to get a huge period of instability right at the end of August, right here. Just giving you a heads up. Also, might as well just dive right into it over here. Oh, no, forget about that one. We'll worry about September later, okay? Anyway, the one to watch out for is right in the middle of the month, 17th of July. Major, major crisis point. That is on top. That crisis point is on top of Mercury retrograde, Neptune, Pluto, and Saturn retrograde. This is on top of it. This is on top of it, okay? So please, okay? Victor sold everything, went into cash. Woohoo! Well, cash is very, very liquid. So the thing is, Victor, it's like, hold on, I'm not a finance, I can't play those, I can't play the markets, but it would be exciting because, you know, we were talking about some of these big mega CEOs and corporations and stockholders, insiders in Washington, D.C. There's some massive sell-offs that are starting to happen, and it's got all the characteristics of the very early stages of a massive avalanche, okay? And maybe you're smart, Victor, to get out now, cash out now while you can, because some people are predicting the biggest crash in history ever. If you saw some of the charts that I've been watching over the last year or so, it would make total sense. So, yeah, what do? Stay in cash. Some people buy treasuries, but even that's very, very unstable. Some people are basically saying, actually get your cash out of the bank. Just hold on to paper, even though paper is fake, okay? Yeah. I think it'll be a while before we hit bottom because I think it's a very, very, very big avalanche. And it's not just going to go, I think it's going to go like a very, very, very big avalanche. You've probably seen those videos of avalanches, okay? It's like serenity. Beautiful Swiss alpine ski slopes. And then you see a little sparkle way, way in the distance, way on the top of a big, big mountain. And the skiers are doing this and doing this. And then that little sparkle starts to move around. And the sparkle gets really big and bright. And then you start to see all this white stuff moving around. And it's going this way. And then that accelerates and turns into a bigger, 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 massive avalanche. Okay? So, personally, like if I knew how to do these things, if I had resources and I could play those games, I would use the Gregory Mannarino market tracker. It's the simplest tool to follow. Sell high and buy low, because basically everything is going dun 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 dun. It doesn't happen in a straight line. Even though it's an avalanche, it's still going to be going okay. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to see more avalanche coming, because the people at the very, very top already knew that this was going to happen. And they're not going to wait till the very last second to try and get their last bit, like another 10 or another 100 or another $1,000 or another $1 million. They're going to get out now, grab their billions, cash out, stuff it on the side somewhere, and then, well, you've seen what happens when a market crashes. If you watched anything from 2008, you saw all that. If you ever watched the movie Margin Call or The Big Short, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Because once the contagion spreads and all the banks and the traders realized, oh my God, it's going down, then it accelerates very, very, very rapidly as all the stakeholders try to sell out and cash out before it cascades down to the bottom and they lose everything. So I'm just going to watch it like a movie. Yeah. And then some of the like advanced traders, they're sitting there going like, yep. I'm just going to wait till it all blows up. BlackRock's going to crash. Vanguard, State Street, Fidelity, Blackstone. And then they're going to come in and scoop up all the super cheap assets and start the whole game again. It's crazy. Sharper's going to float in her pool for the month of August. It's going to be really quite a spectacular show. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you folks. I'm very jittery about all of this, personally. The Gemini energy always makes me jittery. I can't help it. It's just the way it is. I love to blame everything on the planets. Oh, yeah. The sun is very active right now, in case you're not aware. There's some massive, massive, massive sunspots. And it's showing signs of more and more coronal mass ejections and so on. So you might want to keep a watch out for that. But anyway, that's sort of like, okay, well, nothing we can do about that one. Okay, I've covered the 4 points. The Fox News footage, new footage for July 13th, the guy on the roof. Warning signs about the treasuries, the bonds, the stock market, right? Crisis points coming in July regarding fake media and fake people. Basically American politics gone berserk. Crisis point coming at the end of July. Very, very, very precarious. Watch out. I want to see testimony from the snipers. The actual snipers who took out crooks. Okay? Blame it on. Alright, so I'm going to check out now and wish everybody a super evening, and we can all, have a super time. Thank you, Victor.